There you have it. The president wrapping up a conversation with reporters on the White House lawn right now due to rain. But he did go on about the political fight that's happening between him and his tweets over the weekend and the 4 congressional females, also known as the Squad. So we got to bring in some of the experts, one of them being joining us right now, the Housing and Urban Development Secretary, Ben Carson. So, Mr. Secretary, we just heard him speak now, but overall, we know that the House did condemn his comments as racist. Do you think the president's tweets were racist?
Not at all. You know, I've known the president for some time, and I've never seen any indication of that whatsoever. You know, he lived in New York for a long time. Jesse Jackson gave him an award for the work that he's done in the black community. I remember the very first time I met the president at Mar-a-Lago before we were into the political arena. And someone came up to him and said, they said, Mr. Trump, Rod Stewart is here. And he said, yeah, but this is Ben Carson. I mean, that's the kind of person that he is. And that's the kind of person I've always known him to be. You know, his interest is in everybody doing well. And the policies are such that a rising tide floats all boats. And you can see that. The manifestation is so clear, you know, in terms of the unemployment rate, particularly for minorities.
Yeah, but that's not what we were talking about. We're talking about whether his tweets were racist or not. I understand the policies are great and the economy is doing well, but this is a question of racism.
Yeah, well, the place where that intersects is because he is spending so much time and energy with policies that elevate the very people that they are claiming that he is against. That's my point.
Secretary Carson, thank you very much for joining us. Question for you. Do you think that these 4 women, these young women in Congress, the so-called Squad, do they represent minority thinking, or in particular, do they represent the view that a lot of people in the African-American community have of President Trump? Or is that community open to the idea that his policies, higher wages, the things that are happening economically that are good for African Americans are more important than these tweets and these sort of battles that he gets in?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right in that it's the impact. It's what's actually happening. It's much more important than the arguments that we get into when we try to parse every word and try to interpret them. You know, it's an interesting thing. Psychologists will tell you this. If a person thinks that you don't like them or that you hate them, then everything you say they will interpret in that light. And if they think you love them, everything you say they will interpret in that light. And it can be exactly the same thing. You know, we need to get away from all of this parsing of words and analysis. And really, let's talk about the actual problems that we have and how we would solve them. I think we'd be far ahead in the game. And I really think that's what the American people want to hear. And that's what the minorities want to hear. That's what I've heard from them. I was with a minority this weekend who said, I really am impressed with the things that this administration is doing. But they said, I won't say that out loud, and I won't say that to people because I don't want to be ostracized and have my family intact. But I think that might not be such a rare opinion.
Secretary Carson, what does that mean for the ballot box as we head into 2020? Because an obvious line has been drawn. Does it help, hurt either sides?
Repeat that again, please.
The ballot box for 2020, the presidential race, with this back and forth across racial lines, telling minorities, according to some liberal commentators, to go back to where they came from. You know, some would say that that might hurt the Republican Party.
You know, again, you know, there's going to be all kinds of conversations about all kinds of things. And, you know, it's going to come from both sides. Did I wish that that weren't going on? Absolutely. You know, it kind of reminds me of third grade. Apologies to the third graders. But, you know, we have so many more important things to deal with. And I think it would be extraordinarily helpful if we just begin to focus on those things that are important.
One of those things could be housing. So, Secretary, I want to actually just pivot a little bit. We have new data that shows African-American home ownership falling in the first quarter of this year to its lowest level on record. So, Mr. Secretary, why do you think this is the case, and what do you think the administration should be doing next to fix it?
It's a very good question. First of all, recognize that the home ownership rate for blacks in this country is lower now than it was before the housing crisis more than a decade ago, because minorities were taken advantage of severely. And, some of the subprime stuff and the debt-to-income ratio stuff, I mean, it was horrible. And you're not doing anybody a favor if you put them in a house that they can't afford. They lose the house, their credit, and their future possibilities. So what we are doing is we just dedicated $43 million to housing counseling to help people get on the right track. We're doing an enormous amount of activity around affordable housing because the housing prices are escalating much faster than people's income, even though people's incomes, as you know, have increased about 3% recently. But the housing prices are going faster than that, and it's largely due to regulatory burden, zoning regulations and other types of regulations, attacking those, and at the same time, we have an Office of Innovation, which is looking at some of the great technological advancements that have been made that lower the cost of housing. What we have to do is remove a lot of the barriers so that we can use those technological advancements.
Dr. Carson, this is Jack Brewer. I want to first off say amazing job with the opportunity zones and the things that you guys are doing in the African-American community. I just personally wrote an article comparing the two administrations, Obama and Trump, and really what the policies look like. And I have been, as you can imagine, I've been chastised as well. But I want to give you, my 2 cents just in regards to the African-American home ownership. I mean, people don't understand right now. We keep talking about the border crisis, but we need to worry about the crisis that's going on in our own inner cities here in America, where there's hundreds of men and women being shot in Chicago and in Philadelphia and all these other urban areas. But the real issue when it comes to housing is the fact that in the United States of America right now, 77% of kids are born in a home without a father. People buy houses as families. So we need to get our families back in this nation. And you can't expect for African Americans to be able to go out and buy homes when they're, single moms with no dads in the house. 77% is, it brings tears to my eyes. I lose sleep over it. And Dr. Carson, no matter what you are doing, I'm here to support you because we got deep spiritual issues that we need to go address in our community, get God back in our kids' lives, and try to really put a foundation back and stop letting all these rappers and entertainers tell our kids things that are so ungodly. And that is really just seeping through our entire black urban community, and I'm tired of it.
Well, thank you for bringing that up because, in fact, as you probably know, the Brookings Institute did a big study on poverty in this country, and they concluded that there were 3 things a person could do that would reduce their likelihood of living in poverty to 2% or less. And those 3 things were, number 1, finish high school, number 2, get married, and number 3, wait until you're married to have children. Now, a lot of that is antithetical to some of the policies that we've had in place for the last 50 years. For instance, if you're getting housing assistance and you make more money, you have to report that so your rent can go up. That's not a big incentive. You bring another income-producing person into the household, you have to report that so your rent can go up. And don't even think about getting married. You probably lose everything. So, these kinds of policies are antithetical to the research and to the data, which actually shows us the direction we should be going in, and our policies really should reflect that.
Secretary Carson, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.